Very exciting day out here once again on a Stumpjumper EVO, but this time we're on alloy build. Got the size S4 frame again. Nice budget-minded build. Fox 36 with a grip damper on it, which I really enjoy. I've actually been riding a Stumpjumper EVO for the past year or so, and I just really appreciate the kind of like balance of geometry for an everyday bike when you're living in more aggressive terrain. And the way I've got it configured today, I'm in the middle headset setting. Got the short chain stays, which puts me in the high bottom bracket position. With all those settings, I just find this thing like really tackles aggressive terrain exceptionally well. Almost as good as much bigger bikes. But at the same time, has this still pretty lively package where you can really take it on more docile terrain without it feeling ridiculously too big. Another feature I've grown to love on this bike is that like just under 77 degree seat tube angle, which just allows this bike, even in the short chainstay option, to really get up some steep stuff without much fuss. Puts you in just a really comfortable position when you're grinding up steep fire roads. It's just that kind of newer age geometry where even when you're seated, you feel so much more kind of balance between the front and rear wheel. I definitely can feel like a pound or two of difference with this alloy build versus the carbon, but it also, like with every part on this bike being alloy, does just kind of have a nice ride quality to it. Time for the good part. Little descend action. It's honestly pretty astonishing how much softer this aluminum alloy frame feels with complete, alloy build out. It's like quite a bit easier on the wrists than carbon actually. And I really like the feel of that standard grip damper. Yeah, with this like 50 millimeter stem they got this thing spec'd with, it's like just a pretty stable feeling bike. Definitely getting a little bit more derailleur slap with that NX derailleur. That clutch looks like it's maybe from kind of years past or whatever. Woo! I love just on the S4 build that I've ridden, just like how capable this bike feels, but yet it's so just slashy and slappy, just can be kind of pumped around really nicely, which retains that liveliness that you'll lose with a bigger rig. Man, this thing is so freaking plush, and I don't know how much of that is the particular shocks that came on this bike, or if that's just like the feel of aluminum. Like, it is actually pretty damn good. Definitely felt the weight going uphill, but it feels so good on this bumpy terrain. This is like a pretty tight technical trail, so you need to be able to take these compressions but at the same time fling the bike around, and this EVO is doing so good with that. And it's just really easy on the wrist too. It's making this a pretty lovely experience. And that suspension just ramps up so good. Definitely takes those big hits pretty good. That rear suspension linkage is just really solid. Plenty of ramp up. I've actually ridden this bike with a coil and had pretty good results with it. Didn't have to worry about it blowing through the travel too much. Man, this thing just feels really stable right now. I don't know if it's that a little bit longer stem, and yeah, you got that like 475 of reach. It just feels like you can go big on this thing and not get squirrely. Pretty easy to generate a good amount of pop on this bike as well. You just like go into that rear suspension and ramps up nicely. Feels very balanced, kind of mid-corner as well. I think it's got a pretty dang good like reach to chainstay ratio and gives you just a great pocket to ride in where you don't feel like you've got to move your weight around too much. But it also retains a fairly, jibby and kind of fun feel to it. Just sits right in the middle of like a modern day big bike and a trail bike. Man, one of my biggest takes away of riding this bike after the carbon version is just like, wow, there is actually a significant ride quality difference. And, this one is definitely more comfortable. I'd say maybe the carbon is a hair more precise and like lively. Yeah, I definitely have to give the cake to this bike for just being more outright comfortable, easy on the wrist. It just for sure feels like less vibrations are getting transferred through the frame and through the bars. And that's just a pretty lovely feeling when you're on bumpy trails. And it's hard for me to say like how much of that is just this really nice Fox standard grip damper or that newer DPX2 shock, but needless to say, it's like very plush feeling bicycle. So a little bit more derailleur slap with that NX. Definitely slapping around a little bit more. A little bit noisier, but not a big deal. And of course, these tires are just so freaking good for being like in-house tires. That T9 is ridiculously grippy. That T7 just rolls so nice. That they're both, top of the line tires for sure. So at the end of the day, who is this new EVO alloy for? It's definitely for that rider that's like riding aggressive trails often, but they don't want to have like too big of a bike that sacrifices their ability to do big backcountry missions or, other sorts of riding. It's really such a great all-arounder if you plan to do aggressive riding. And also, riders looking for that alloy ride quality. Or maybe your wallet is looking for alloy ride quality. I mean, it is phenomenal to me how soft this dang thing is. It's really actually kind of something special. And with the Geo and that really capable 36 with that lovely grip damper, it's like this bike isn't gonna hold you back from doing anything. Ooh. And even though it's super aggressive, it still just kind of retains that little bit more playful ride quality than some of the new massive like enduro rigs. So it's a very easy bike to own, and I would highly recommend one, especially when you add in all those convenient Specialized features, tool built in, swap box, it's pretty cool. Great tires out of the box. The only thing I'd replace on this bike would be that NX derailleur. just for aggressive riding. That clutch is not, you know, it's a little bit slappy, but it certainly gets the job done. God, you just feel like you can really charge on this bike. Very rewarding to just plow. So if you like this review, consider subscribing to the YouTube channel. And for the full write-up, head on over to freehubmag.com.